Well, everyone, he did it again. The stock market had its worst day since Liberation Day of April 2nd, 2025, when President Trump announced those massive tariffs. I checked the stock market yesterday, my portfolio. I'm like, whoa, S&P 500 down, NASDAQ down, Dow Jones down massively. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so come to find out, President Trump announced 100% tariffs on China. I knew it had to be something like that. I just knew it. And yeah, we're seeing a repeat, a little bit of deja vu 6 months later. We could probably expect this quite a bit going forward. Every couple of months, Trump's going to be like, tariffs, 90%, 95, 100%, China bad. And then the stock market's going to tank. And then it might correct, to be fair, which it did after Liberation Day, and it probably will after this. But Trump is making for a very volatile economy and very volatile stock market. So I read on the Hill, President Trump announced Friday he will raise tariffs on China in response to a move from Beijing to tighten its control over certain critical minerals and rare earth elements. He announced on Truth Social, of course, that he would impose a tariff of 100% on Chinese goods beginning November 1st or sooner. Those tariffs will supersede existing duties already in place on Chinese goods. President Trump said his administration would also place export controls on any and all critical software. Quote, "It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history." And China announced this week that foreign entities must obtain a license in order to export any products containing more than 0.1% of rare earths that are either sourced in China or manufactured using the country's extraction process. China controls roughly 70% of the world's rare metals and earths. Rare earths and critical minerals are used in numerous products, including cars, semiconductors, and electronics like laptops. Trump, in his Truth Social post, called China's move absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. Well, dude, you're threatening 100% tariffs. Trump earlier Friday had threatened countermeasures in response to the announcement from Beijing, and he suggested he may no longer meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping during an upcoming summit in South Korea as previously planned. I wonder if this is gonna, kind of fuel a fresh batch of outrage against President Trump and his tariffs. Because remember, after Liberation Day, you had a lot of people coming out and pointing out tariffs are a tax increase. You had Mike Pence, Trump's former second banana, his running mate and his vice president, saying Trump's tariff is the biggest tax increase on working families in American history. This is horrible. This is bad. And a lot of people were like, okay, we respect that. He's telling it like it is on this one. And Mike Pence is kind of yearning for the good old days of the first Trump term when he's seeing the second Trump term going down. The president's announcements of heightened tariffs came shortly after the stock market closed Friday, but stocks had already seen sharp losses on the day after Trump's initial threat to impose new tariffs. Yeah, so it might get even worse Monday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average specifically lost 876 points on the day, closing with a loss of 1.9%. S&P 500 fell 2.7%, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite plunged 3.6% before the closing bell. Yeah, I saw the S&P 500 was down like 1.3, 1.4%, and I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. I wonder if it'll get any worse. And it did get worse, 2.7%. That's the worst day since April 2nd. So the president has spoken warmly of Xi Jinping throughout his second term, even as the Trump admin has hit Beijing with tariffs over the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. and left other tariffs from Trump's first term in place. The tariffs on China have hit U.S. farmers particularly hard, as China has not purchased soybeans from American producers. Yeah, that's definitely something that's harming the state of affairs for farmers in the United States. And a lot of farmers are also upset about the layoffs. More and more Republicans are starting to get critical of that, or at least it seems like it. I hope that it's true. But yeah, I expect some of the neocon libertarian wing to get mad at Trump over this. I expect Ben Shapiro to criticize it. And then a couple months later, they'll be like, yeah, no, Trump's great. Trump's great. They'll be like, oh, no, he's perfect. He knows how things work. There are a bunch of MAGA commentators who actually, when Trump does these tariffs and the stock market tanks, they'll be like, I don't know about this. But then if it corrects itself, they'll be like, oh yeah, it worked. It worked, baby. It worked. Yeah, no, short-term pain for long-term gains. And they'll credit Trump for anything, At the end of the day, that's how it works. I don't blame Trump for everything. There's plenty of stuff that happens that's bad, that's not entirely his fault. Like COVID coming to the U.S. was not his fault back in 2020, but then him lying about it and him spreading misinformation about it, that was his fault. So yeah, don't reflexively give Trump credit or blame him for stuff. But it seems like this one, this was caused by his announcement of those initial tariffs, and it will be worsened by his discussion of a 100% tariff. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. This is the more the merrier, and I look forward to speaking to you in my next video.